me share your screen. We can quickly, yeah, install it. Okay, you have that URL. So this is the application URL, HTTPS.
Yes, sir. I had that URL.
Yeah, please log in.
Yes, sir.
Okay, click next.
Okay.
Not don't check that one. Click next.
Do you need to check, sir?
No need. Click
Okay.
next.
No, we have. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Now check the license. Click next.
To federate, right? Sir?
Yeah, to federate. Click next. Finish.
Oh, okay. This part I have missed, sir. Okay.
Okay. Now let me share my screen. And stop sharing. Okay. So guys, from today we'll start the actual SSO things. Okay. So hope you have gone through the basics and all. So now what our main agenda, right, as part of access management team. So what we are going to get, right, we have to protect the application. So we need to secure the web applications. Okay, there could be multiple types of web applications. Okay, means depend upon the applications. Okay, but depend upon the developers how that particular web application it was developed, right? So based on that, we have to provide the SSO solution for them. Okay, let's say for some applications, means I'm talking about the web applications and mobile applications. So let's say 20 years back, there is no means much advanced technologies like OAuth concept or OpenID or SAML. So during that time, right, initially we had very limited kinds of applications. So anyone, right, how means when we are studying, right, how we did our basic web application, we have used the HTML applications. We have built the HTML pages. That is also a web application. By using we combined multiple web pages for HTML page, and we made it as one application. How you can transfer, if you remember, how you can transfer the data or information between one HTML page to another HTML page? Do you have any idea? So we can we use HTTP headers. HTTP headers, initially we can transfer the data information between application to application. Okay, during that time, right, there is no concept of this SAML or OAuth. So day by day, right, we are exposed to more kind of use cases, and we got new requirements. So with okay, the HTTP header protocol, right, it was not sufficient to meet all the requirements, to meet all the client requirements. So new protocols developed. Okay, new protocols were invented, like the SAML protocol. Okay, here we have the SAML protocol, and we have this OAuth and OpenID means that concept. Okay, now all our modern day web applications, right, they are all working this OAuth concept. And even though you might have seen, if for few applications, even though you don't have account, right, you can log in by using your Google Play or Facebook account, by using your social media accounts. How means basically there also you are authenticating, there also you are performing SSO. How those components are developed and what is the means how this background protocols and what means. So when you're working on an application, right, so application teams, right, they will reach out to you. So as an access management engineer, right, application teams, they will reach out to you. Okay. No. Okay, they will reach out to you, and you have to understand their requirement. You need to understand how their application developed, and you need to suggest. So basically, what I'm trying to say here, right, we have three types of protocols like the SAML protocol and this OAuth and OpenID, and we are going to learn about the HTTP. That is a legacy one. So we use the same ping fed tool. Okay, for HTTP headers, right? Ping, right? They have separated the two. Okay, we have the ping access for that to handle all the HTTP headers, such kind of applications. So first we'll start with SAML. Well, I know means this SAML where this protocol comes into picture, right? So for cross organization, if you wanted to provide SSO between two different organizations, basically if you wanted to provide uh, provide a SSO between two different organizations, right? We used to call this, mostly we go with this SAML protocol. Okay, it's not only for cross organization within the same organization. If your application supports a SAML, okay, if it is a SaaS based applications like software as a service, let's take a service now. We have this Concur, Dropbox. These are all service based applications. Okay, these are basically they are web applications, but they provide services. Okay, like ServiceNow, right? It is a ticketing tool. So now most of the organizations, right, they're going with this tool ServiceNow. Means as a ticketing tool. Okay, just the UI is almost same, but the organization there might be the customization. So that service now, right? They are providing the services, but that end of the day, that application is a through web application. They are providing the services. Okay, now how you are going to provide authentication? So the main thing right here, it is federation. Okay, the SAML protocol, right? We used to call it as FSSO, Federation SSO. Federation SSO means the main agenda over here. Right? Here you can provide means achieve SSO between cross organizations. And I'll give one situation, guys. Okay, let's say you guys are all working for an organization. So within your organization, okay, we might need to travel to other countries or other places as part for business meetings and all, right, or official meeting. We won't we won't book personally, right? What we should do, we used to go through our company provided channel only. Let's say it's entirely offline. Okay, there are two buildings, our organization, and we have the make my trip is there. Okay, let us assume make my trip is tied up with your organization. That means all your organization business travel things, right? It has to go through make my trip. Okay, even though that is a ticket booking or the hotel reservations, that has to go with the make my trip one. Let us assume that's a use case here. Okay, now there is no online system. Imagine there is no online system. Entirely it is offline. Your building is there. I mean, your organization building is there, and your make my trip office building is there. So now your manager asks you to go on for a business trip. So listen carefully. The situation. Your manager asks you to go on for business trip. So what you know? So you know, make my trip is your service provider. Make my trip is your service provider who provides services for your organization. So what you will do? Yes, it's not online, offline. So you have to go to the make my trip office. There you went there and you have been okay. Let us assume there is one agent is over there and you have introduced yourself. So also I came from this organization, so I wanted to book a flight ticket and I want to do hotel reservation on so and so dates. So you will all these details. So what will the first question he will ask?
Who said me?
Mm, better,
Who is your vendor? I mean, who
better.
shared my details?
Okay. Anything? So you have told me I came from this so and so company. What he will ask?
Your IDs for proof,
Which ID?
like Aadhaar card, PAN
Uh huh.
card.
Uh huh. Better. He will ask you to display your company ID card. He won't ask your government ID card. Then only, right? He will know whether you are actually working that organization or not. If you show your government Aadhaar card, that is not a valid proof, right? If you show your company ID card, then only he will believe, okay, you are working in that particular company.
Right.
Does it
Like
make
my
sense or not?
yes, sir.
Hey, Amit.
That's right.
So, see, nothing technical, guys. Okay, I'm just giving a situation, asking situation based off of that. Okay. So now, once you displayed your ID card, so what you'll do, then only he will continue conversation with you. Correct? So then he will open his door, and then you can only enter into that building, MakeMetric building. So if you observe there, right, you have entered into the MakeMetric building by showing your organization ID card. Actually, you have accessed MakeMetric office by using your company ID card. Why can't you say you are authenticated, right? Hello?
Yes. Yes, sir.
You are authenticated and you went there into the MakeMetric. You are authenticated into the MakeMetric office. Okay. Listen. Okay. Any questions on this situation?
No.
Okay. Now I'll give on the same situation, but this time differently. So in the first instance, why you went directly to the MakeMetric office? Because you know MakeMetric is the service provider for your organization. That's why you directly went to their office. Fine. Again, offline system. Again, your manager asked you to go on a trip. So this time you don't know who is the vendor, what you will do. So just imagine you will be in that situation. So what will be your approach then?
We'll search for the best vendors who will provide the.
No. You have to go to the MakeMetric only, but you don't know who is the vendor. So what you will do? How you will means what will be the approach? Do you contact anyone or means just let me know. Basic thing only, right?
I
So
will
just
contact help desk then.
yes, yes. Help desk, your office help desk. Amit, saying it
Yes.
is your office help desk.
Yes, help desk.
Yes, that's the correct way, right? We can't call our office help desk. So they will, they know who is the service provider. Help desk, they know who is the service provider. And since you are calling them from the same office, right? Again, they won't ask you for authentication, right? Huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Okay. So they know your details. They know your details, and they will just share all your details to the vendor. Then they will book the tickets. Ali, any questions?
No, just observing. No, thank you. No questions.
No. If you have any doubts or no, if you means just try to.
No.
Okay.
Yes. No,
Okay.
shake
Now.
is okay. Thank you.
Okay. So now we apply the same theory to online system. Okay. Now we apply the same theory to the online system. So in real time, right? Most of the organizations they are dependent on other players, service providers. Get the services. Like I said, service now have the insurance also. Insurance, right? We are almost all the companies they are dependent on the players who are already there in the market, right? But if you have, whenever you observe, right, to access those applications, you will use your company credentials. Okay, to access those applications, you will use your organization provided credentials. Okay, so yeah, let's put back the same thing to the online. So in the first instance, let's go back to our first situation. So how you went to the MakeMyTrip office? Because you know MakeMyTrip is a vendor. That's why you went directly there. Now let us assume there is an online system is there. So your manager has to go on for a trip, and what you did, since there is an online system, right? You went to your desktop and you typed like www.makemytrip.com. Okay, on the screen, right? There are two things. Okay, as a user or a corporate user. Since this is business trip, right, you have to go on for a corporate. So let us assume you have select the corporate and it's displayed the bunch of other companies also. So that now you have selected your organization. Let us say you have selected your organization. How MakeMyTrip know whether you came from that organization or not? So it will take you to your. It will immediately you will get the login page. That login page is from your organization. So let's say, for example, in mail also, right? It will take you to your organization login page. Whenever you access any Outlook, have you ever observed that one?
That's right.
So here also, once let's say you're working for TCS. So TCS, right? It will since you selected TCS, it will take you. Okay, taking to your organization login page. There you will get your company login page. Your organization is the identity provider. You will get the identity provider login page. So in that login screen, right, you have to enter your credentials. Okay. Once you enter the correct credentials, you will take you to the service provider. So background, many things will happen. On high level, I'm saying. So basically here, identity provider is not sharing. Okay, this is known as SP initiated SSO. Here in the if you go back to our offline situation, right, you have went to there and you have introduced yourself. You came from so and so company. The first business transaction, right, it was initiated by the agent who was there in the service provider, MakeMyTrip office. So that guy, he belonged to the SP, so that you can consider that one as a SP initiated SSO. Let me share one screen, my screen. Let me share my screen. So in SAML protocol, right, we have this IDP initiated SSO and SP initiated SSO. Hope you are all seeing my screen.
Yes, we can.
So remember guys, in service SAML protocol, we have two players. One is the identity provider and another one is a service provider. Always LDAP is connected to the identity provider only. So why? Because within this LDAP only, all our user identities along with their password will be stored. Okay. No organization will share their LDAP details with others. It is always with the identity provider only. User's identity, it will be always stored in the LDAP only. Now let us assume first initiation. User knows the web application URL and that's why he entered the service provider. Okay, www.makemytrip.com. So now here user has claimed he came from so and so company. How the service provider, it will know whether you are from that organization, right? Before you will get the login page, what will happen, right? Actually, service provider, it will send a SAML request. Send a SAML request to whom? To the identity provider. It will send a SAML request. So when you enter the URL in the browser, right? So to the service provider, once you selected your organization, your identity provider, it will send a SAML service provider. It will send a SAML request. This is an SP initiated SSO. Okay, once identity provider got the request, right, it will trigger you. Okay, it will trigger user for authentication. Okay, login page for an authentication. If at all there is no session, right, it will trigger user for an authentication. So once user enters the username and password, but that username and password again we will send it to the LDAP. Okay, let us assume user has entered the correct username and password. That response will come back to the identity provider. That username, and once the user is successfully authenticated, right? Once user is successfully authenticated to the identity provider end, identity provider, it will send a SAML response. For the request, it will send a SAML response. Basically, this response, what it will contain, I will explain. So for the request, it will contain, okay, it will send a SAML response to the service provider. So someone needs to validate this response, right? So this, if you observe here, right, authentication is happening at the identity provider end, not at the service provider end. We are not sharing the user's password to the service provider. We might use other additional details like his first name, last name, or additional details. but we won't share any other details. The SAML response, right, we'll send it to the service provider. So at service provider end, we have something called ACS URL, which will validate the service provider SAML response. So in SP initiated, right, user will go to the here. So once you claim your organization, right, service provider, it will pack a request and it will send it to the identity provider. Identity provider, once it got the request, right, it will trigger a login page for the user. Okay. Once user enters credentials, right, it will send the response for the request. It will send the response with the details. So what is this SAML? What is this ACS? I will tell you. Okay. What is this SAML means? SAML means full form is security assertion markup language. Security assertion markup language. So here assertion is a keyword. What is this assertion? Assertion is a combination of mainly three things. Authentication statement, attribute statement, and authorization statement. So assertion is a combination of mainly three things. So if you see in XML, right, it will be look like this assertion. Okay, this is the format. And basically this assertion, right, it will be there in response. SAML response. I'll show you guys, okay, what is this SAML response in practical we'll do, and we'll validate also as part of our troubleshooting. It will be in tags. So what is this assertion? Assertion is a common authentication statement. This statement, okay, when the SAML in the SAML response, if you go back and see here, right? Where is this? Okay, SAML response when it generated after user authentication. So this authentication statement, it contains whether user is authenticated or not. Okay, it will contain whether user is authenticated or not. Okay, and the session information, everything. Attribute statement. So attribute statement, it will in this attribute statement, right, we will send additional user information. Let's say, for example, sometimes even though you logged in by using your employee ID and password, right, it will show you, okay, welcome Chandra, welcome Amit, or welcome Ali. So that application know your full name, whether you logged in by using your employee ID, because there your identity provider, it has shared your user additional user information. So from where our user identity it will be stored? It is stored in LDAP, right? LDAP, from LDAP, as per the agreement, right? It might have shared. So if you see here, right, these are all the attributes, LDAP attributes, which will hold the user details. So all those information, right, then pack it in the attribute statement. Authorization statement. It will define whether user has authorization to access that page or not. But among these three, authentication statement is mandatory. These two are optional. It really application team requirement whether they need additional user details or not. They won't bother. Okay, let's say there is another application. It should be accessed by all the employees irrespective of their role and designation. In that case, there is no need of put authorization conditions. Even now, this one also will be gone. Okay, we collectively these three called as assertion. This assertion, where it will reside? It will reside in the response. Okay. Now let's go back to the diagram. So once we send the SAML response, right, that SAML response inbuilt, it contains the assertion. So basically we are sending the assertion to the service provider. The service provider and we have this ACS URL. What is that ACS URL means? ACS URL. Assertion consume service URL. So basically, the ACS URL, right, it will validate the assertion at the service provider and it will validate whether the assertion is correct or not. That's what. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
Okay. Now let's go back to the other one, IDP initiated SSO. Let's say in an online system, right? In each and every organization, we have this internal portal, right? From that portal itself, we can access all the applications.
Yes, sir.
No, this time you don't know who is the service provider.
Service provider.
Yeah, we don't know who is the service provider. So what we can do? We can
Need to authenticate the internal
and we can access, yes. So even to access that internal portal, right? We need see again here also same part is identity provider, which is connected to the LDAP, service provider, and the browser. So even to access that internal portal, we need to authenticate, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's assume now this time user will take the another user access the identity provider page. This is the internal portal. Now since there is no session, right? User will get the login page.
Yes, sir.
Now what will happen? User has to enter the credentials and he will be authenticated. Once user authenticates means automatically his session will be stored. Session will be created and it will be stored in the form of a cookie. Correct? In the browser. Now let us assume user access any service provider page. Access any service provider page. What will happen? It will take directly to the service provider. Because here identity provider knows who is the service provider in this scenario. Let us assume in your internal portal you have access the make my trip icon. So since you are already authenticated, it won't again trigger you for a login page. And it will, since already it knows who is the service provider, identity provider, it will directly send the SAML response. Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Correct.
Have you ever observed like whenever you're accessing any page from your internal portal, right? Again, it won't ask you for authentication. It will directly take you there.
Correct. Yes.
Again, the same story. So the SAML response reaches the service provider. We have this ACS URL. So did you find the difference between IDP initiated flow and SP initiated flow? In SP initiated flow, we have the SAML request because until the request reaches the identity provider, right? Identity provider doesn't know who is the service provider, from where it got the request, from which service provider it got the request. Whereas that's not the case in IDP initiated flow. In IDP initiated flow, identity provider already knows who is the service provider. That's why it will send directly the SAML response.
Yes.
If you see both the scenarios, right? Login page is triggered by the identity provider only. Authentication is happened at the identity provider end only. We are not sharing any password with the service provider. Without sharing user password, right? We are accessing the service provider application by using our identity provider credentials. Are you clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 1 second, guys. Let me have some water. Okay. So take any access management tool, right? Any access management. So we have to build the architecture. First, what we are going to create, right? We are going to create the basic authentication mechanism. So we wanted to create the basic architecture. We'll create the basic architecture and then we will onboard the connections. First, we are learning the architecture and as well as the application integration. Okay, let me stop sharing. Can someone please share your screen? Chandra, please share your screen. Any access management tool, right? The first step is we have to integrate our access management tool with the directory. We'll connect our access management with the directory. Okay. Log into your Ping Federate console, localhost. This is the first step. Okay, let me explain. Okay, let me stop sharing. Let me share. So here, if you see here, right, user will get the login page, right? Once user enters the login page, you have to send it to the LDAP because that is the place where your password is stored. Okay, let us assume the end application is there. So you are accessing that application. So you got the login page. Fine. Once you enter the credentials, those username and password, right? We need to send it over here. Okay. We are doing this part, guys. Login page and sending the credentials to the LDAP. So before validating whether the username and password is correct or not, what we need to do?
Create an LDAP.
No. LDAP is there.
Okay, it's already there.
Okay, LDAP is already there and that is fine. So you got the login credentials from user. You got the username and password. So we need to validate against LDAP. So before validating, what we need to do? We need to search whether that user is there or not, right?
Yes. Yes.
We have to search whether that user is there. We have to search whether that user is there or not. Then only you can validate. You have to search whether that user is there or not. Then only we can validate. So now share your screen. Okay, I think this meeting it will end in 5 minutes, guys. Please rejoin immediately. Okay, share your screen. Sorry, let me stop. Share your screen. We are Ping Federate console. The first step is we are doing in a reverse order. Okay, the first step is we have to connect our data store with the Ping Federate tool. Go to system. These are all one-time activities. System data source. Click on data source. We know where our data store is running. Okay, meanwhile, open your JExplorer also. First, open here. Yeah, connect, file connect. Yeah, no. In the drop down, save is there, right? You have already saved the template. No. Wait. Can down you could see ask user
Save.
template. Yeah, no, user template is there. Come out of this one. Yeah, user template drop down is there. Right to last drop down. Left to delete. Yeah, left to delete. Delete is there, right? Left to
Yes,
that.
sir.
Left to that one. Yes, open DJ. You are already saved. So you enter the password. Okay. Okay. Now go there and connect to the same way to our ping federate. No, add new data store. No, go to your PF console here only. So give some name, open DJ. Next, yeah, select the data store as LDAP.
LDAP.
So where is our directory is running? Localhost only, and the port is 389. That is where our directory today is running. Okay, localhost colon 389. Add. Right side add. That's it. Scroll down. Leave all this. User DN. What is the root user? CN equal to directory space manage. The same way how you connected in the go to your JExplorer. The same details which you have entered over there, right? The same. But file connect. These details. Wait. These details. Yes. Here also the host is localhost. Port is 389. Yes. Password 2 federate. Now test the connection. See, connected successful. Okay, scroll down, save it. Next, save it. That's it. We have the first step. We have connected our data store to the with the access management tool. But before coming, okay, let me stop the